Wayne Price, Mavs.com.
You give that one.
I'm good. All right, Jason, tell us a little bit about Tim. You know, last year, for the second year in a row, he made over 200 3-pointers in a season.
Yep.
Just how important is that for him that you know that free ball is going to be going to him?
Yeah, I think it's always important, especially when you make that many in a year. We would love to have that and more this year. When you talk about Tim, he's a true pro. You know, competes on both ends, wants to win, is very unselfish as a teammate. So I'm happy that we got him back, and he looks great, you know, so far in training camp.
I know you've already said that he's going to start this year. Last year he played 70 games, started 31, came out the bench 39 games. Do you see him as a starter the entire season, or maybe that role changing during the course of the season?
Yeah, you know, I asked him, you know, in the summer what he wanted to do, and he wanted to think about it. And so when he came back, I thought enough time for him to think. So I asked for the answer, and he wanted to start. You know, we talked about it. He wanted to, you know, I gave him his time to think about it, and he wants to start, and I believe he should start. Again, the versatility that we have throughout our wings, he can start, he can come off the bench. Again, as I talked about earlier, he's very unselfish. It's about the team first, and so that's always helpful for a coach, but also for a teammate. Because if he, you know, he's just unselfish like that. But I truly believe he's a starter in this league. Yep, sorry.
You had mentioned Cal starting camp as the starter at center. You kind of talked about how he fits with KP in that sense. But what is it about him specifically as an individual that you think is going to make him, you know, that good fit at least to start the season, start the preseason that way?
Well, I think when you talk about Dwight, again, you know, unselfish. It's always about the team, his teammates. I love his energy. I would say his teammates love his energy. He's unselfish. He's the guy who does all the little things. You can label him as all the dirty things or the guys that don't want to, you know, do the little things. So I think he fits perfectly with that starting group. I understand he's coming off that injury, but I think he's past that mentally and physically, and he's shown that coming into camp ready to go. And I think he fits with that first group. Again, talking about that energy, starting off, getting off to a good start, not just in the first half, but also in that second half.
Jason, first of all, is there any injury update of note that we need to know about?
Injuries? No injuries. Frank and Reggie were out due to illness, but not COVID related, and so they were out today.
And also, how is that competition going with those, I guess, 3-and-D guys, for lack of a better term, with Dorian and Reggie and Frank too, and Sterling and all those guys, and who's the unlucky guy who has to get guarded by them all the time?
Yeah, I think it's great competition at our mediums. I don't want to call them smalls. I think Dorian's incredible. I love his energy. He competes on every drill. It doesn't have to be a game like in the sense of a scrimmage or playing full court, but any drill he's trying to win, which is contagious to the other guys because they know he's a starter on his team and he competes at a high level, so he pulls the other guys. And so it's been great when you look at Reggie, Sterling, Hunt, you know, one of our younger players competing in that. And so it's healthy competition, and it just makes us that much stronger because whenever we make that substitution, there's not a drop-off.
I was wondering if as much as you can, recount the conversation with Dudley, you know, when you were discussing him potentially being a coach. Was he giving consideration to playing, and, you know, what went into that? And then what do you think specifically he's bringing to you guys?
Well, when you look at Duds, there was, I guess, borderline still continue to keep playing. But I think the conversation, when I heard that there could be a chance that he wasn't going to continue playing, I wanted to be first in line to ask would he consider coaching. And we had that conversation, and and he was in day one, and so I think I was more excited because I got to see what he did the last 2 years in LA, being that guy at the end of the bench, being able to have the respect of not just the best players but the best players in the world. And so I thought him being positive, always I thought he was a coach. And then when he played, he played for a long time. Again, he wasn't going to run the 4-5 flat. He wasn't going to jump and touch the top of the square, but he just knew how to play. And I thought having that on my staff was going to be helpful for these young players.
Just being able to watch scrimmages a couple times this week, I was just curious your philosophy on the purpose or like what you're looking for in those. Is it a chance to install sets and offense? Is it a chance to pair certain players together and see how they look together? Or just generally kind of your philosophy on what you get from that as a head coach?
Well, when you look at this, you guys have gotten to see scrimmages, which normally you wouldn't, right? So that's kind of cool. I don't have anything to hide. We don't have anything to hide, so hopefully you guys got to see them compete. I think what you saw today was the ending of a game simulated in the sense of it actually ended up in the scrimmage to coming down to a three-point game. White having to foul without giving up a three-point shot. Luka being able to make free throws, right? Like our best player has the ball, stepping up to make the free throws to put his team in position. So all those scenarios, sometimes when a coach tries to set them up and runs them, they tend to kind of are flat. But with the competition that we've been having since day one, you could see how realistic it was this afternoon. They all set up perfectly, where we had to make free throws, we had to foul, and then we had to rebound again. And unfortunately, I think KP had the rebound, he lost it, but Blue ends up getting a look at the three. And so, just to compete, I love that Blue fought all the way to the end. I think we're looking at a lot of things, putting in sets, different combinations. We changed up the combinations. If you saw, KP and Luka were the only starters that were on that team. We put the other starters on the Blue, Dorian and Timmy, which made it very competitive. And so, we're always looking at different combinations, and we're going to continue to mix up the combinations for the whole training camp to see how guys play with each other.
Jason, you had a chance to play against Hardaway's daddy. Have you noticed any similarities between the two as far as their playing style, approach, trash talking, anything like that?
All the above. Senior, incredible, point guard in our league. Very difficult to guard, if to guard. You just try to get in the way. But just being a true pro, coming to compete, they want to win. And I think that just runs in the family. Senior wants to win, and Junior wants to win. And so it's a beautiful thing to see a father and son, and for the son to learn from the father. And so I think they're very competitive. I wonder who's going to have the bragging rights of who's the better shooter. I'm going to let those two battle that out. But Tim can flat out shoot the ball, and so can his dad. And they're not afraid. They're not afraid of the moment. And so I love that about Junior. But as an opponent, guarding Tim, I hated it because he was always up for that big shot. And unfortunately, he always made them.
Do you think people realize how hard it is to get a shot off in that in-the-game situation when you have to miss the free throw and get a three?
It's very hard. I mean, it's almost impossible. But as you saw, it happened. We had the ball. It slips out of our hands, and it ends up in Blue. And Tim gets a good look. A lot of times those go in this league because those guys can make those shots. But I thought it was great. It's just when you simulate some of those things, when you say, hey, let's stop, let's do this, it tends to take the steam out, the energy. But I thought the energy was extremely high in those late game scenarios for us today.
On Frank, I assume it's not a long-term illness of
Right.
any sort, but how has he looked so far when he has been on the court?
Yeah, Tim. Frank has been great. Again, coming here, we wanted him, and we got lucky to get him. I think you look at his defense is incredible, what he can do with his length. And then on the offensive end, I think he's starting to become a little bit more comfortable shooting the ball. I thought he shot the ball well when he did practice. But I just love his competition. He's still young. I know we call some guys old at 23 or 24, but he came in the league at 18. And so I think we're getting him at the right time on his journey to have success with us.
All right, we've got one on Zoom. Coop, go ahead.
Hey Jay, what are your plans for Sunday for the fan jam? How do you want that to look, and how long will you go?
That's a great question, Coop. I'm gonna buy popcorn. Are they selling popcorn? Because I'm gonna buy popcorn. Can't have a hot dog and a Sprite and enjoy watching the guys play. No, we'll go 2 20-minute halves. We'll start at 1:30 because we're going to get a little work in on the practice court and for 30 minutes, and then we'll bring the guys up, introduce them, and then we'll play. We'll split the teams up, and again, I'm going to grab a water and watch the guys play and get the first opportunity for the fans to be in the building and to see our players.
Luke, go ahead.
Good, thanks.
Thank you.
Luke, go ahead.
I'm done. I'm done.
Oh, no, Luke.
Luke. Luke.
I don't know why I did that, but we're good.
Luke Askew, Mavs Moneyball coach. I'm just wondering, you focused a lot on chemistry and defense so far, and just so thus far throughout training camp, a big part of that is communication. Who's been the loudest voice on the court from your perspective?
Loudest. That's good question. I think when you talk about KP, Dorian, JB. I don't want to leave anybody out, so should I just name everybody? No, it's been great because there's been different parts of practice that guys get a little tired, which is great, but there's always someone picking up the slack of talking, and that's what we've talked about is, holding each other accountable, but helping each other. There's a trust factor, and even though we have some young players yesterday talking to some of them, we can't be hesitant or afraid to talk, and I think those younger players did a good job today with that. But I would say KP's been great. He's been vocal, but Dorian has been one of the voices that we've heard on a consistent basis and has been at a very high level in which we understand he's one of those guys that is going to do that. He's so competitive. But I think Brunson also has been doing the same thing where his voice has been heard.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
Thanks, guys.